All right, good afternoon, everyone. Those of you in attendance, thank you very much for being here. Those of you online, thanks for tuning in, and those of you that are watching later on, thanks for doing that as well. My name is Mike Schumacher. I'm currently the Associate Superintendent of HR. Welcome to our town hall in regards to our 403B and 457 plans. I'm not going to talk too much. We have some experts in the room. They're going to take you through some information in regards to our transition from multiple vendors to one single record keeper, and how that's going to benefit all of our employees moving forward. Before I do that, I want to recognize some people in the room. In particular, our benefits committee. Benefits committee was essential in this transition, and if they want to say anything, you certainly can, but recognize those folks. Jill Johnson, who is our NEA president. Becky Tate is in the room. Ryan Fleury is our principal at the Center for Academic Achievement. Felicia Nedelecki, another administrative representative. She's the principal at East Antioch. Tammy Redding, Brianna Ovalis, myself, I'm a non-voting member. Jennifer Lumley, Linda Seek, who is our UniServe director for this region. And then Michael Alson is a teacher at Shawnee Mission North. So that's our benefits committee, and as I mentioned, they were a core group in moving this work forward. So I'll throw it to you guys. You want to say anything real quick before we get going? Okay. It's interactive. Yeah, you're here and it's interactive, and so if you want to say something throughout, we certainly can. So again, this meeting is informational. We know that you're very busy, and so we're just going to get to it and just take you through some general information. There will be time at the end to ask any questions. Clayton's going to be monitoring online as well, and so anyone that's online, please submit your questions in the comments, and we'll try to address those as well. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and kick it to Jack. Jack is our expert from CBIZ, who is our benefits broker. Jack, floor is yours.
Thanks, Mike. Nice to see everybody this afternoon. This has been a great project to be a part of. Jack Keller with CBIZ. I've been providing 401k, 403b, 457 consulting services for 15 years. And really all we do is oversee defined contribution retirement plans for all sorts of organizations. And we are engaged by the district to help ensure the plans stay in compliance. We act as a fiduciary in regards to investments, and from time to time, just make sure the plan is operating, in the best interest of plan participants that it possibly can be. So actually, I need to go back to the computer here and show you a little bit of. Oh, you got it. Okay. Some of the work that we do, and I'm local to Kansas City, but this is just an example of our engagement with leadership and the benefits committee. This is a plan that it's non-ERISA, but still is, there are beneficiaries, the faculty and staff of the district, and so there are certain, requirements that have to be met. And really the process that we undertook here is, there was really just a better, more efficient way for this plan to be offered to the workforce at Shawnee Mission School District. And so we underwent an evaluation for the record keepers. It was a very open process. It was a very thorough process that started pre-COVID, and we're just about, through all of it. There were a few bumps, obviously, along the way. But if you think about it, your health insurance offered by the district is through one provider, and that is Blue Cross. And the way that the retirement plan has been set up in the past is you have 4 different providers. You have Corebridge, you have Lincoln, you have MetLife, and you have Security Benefit. Hey, here are all of your offerings. And I know for me, I do retirement investments, that's my job. But if I had to pick between Aetna and Blue Cross and United Healthcare and name a 4th one, that would really confuse me, maybe lead to some inaction on my part. It would also spread the cost too much when you offer too many providers in that area. And so historically, these school districts like SMSD have offered, I've seen it where there's been 26 different record keepers that have been, record keepers are, the providers. that just there's a more efficient way of doing things, and many of them have moved to more of a single vendor solution. And really, that's the process that we undertook. And again, we're just the consultant. We're independent of anybody else out there, but we solicited proposals for a single record keeper solution for the plans from the incumbents, Corebridge, Lincoln, MetLife, Security Benefit, and then we entertained 3 alternative record keepers, being Empower, TIAA, and Voya, and those being some of the largest providers, record keepers in this market space. Evaluated a number of factors. Were they experts in this public K through 12 arena? What are their administrative capabilities? What about data security? What would the timeline and process is the team that would service this plan? Is it the right cultural fit? But most importantly, what services would be made available to the participants and the staff at the district? On-site education, virtual education, financial wellness programs, getting people enrolled in the plan, helping them not only save and invest appropriately, but even help outside of the plan with debt management and maybe saving for college for a child, or even getting toward retirement. And I've got this pension and I've got Social Security. How does that all tie together? And so really that was the major part of the evaluation, is how this would help participants. We solicited proposals from 7. We crunched all the numbers and presented to the benefits committee. Ultimately, 2 were invited in as finalists, and that was Lincoln and Corebridge that presented. Their team came in from either locally or really all around the country to present to the committee. And of course, I didn't mention it, but cost was a major factor that we considered through the process as well. And ultimately, Corebridge was selected for a variety of factors, cost being one of them. Corebridge came in with the most competitive fee proposal of all of the record keepers. So, currently in the situation that you have, and I know Fred's going to talk about some of the improvements here of the program, but with 4 different record keepers, the plan currently has over 225 different investment choices for you to choose from. Various fee structures, hidden fees. If you think about it, it's more of a sales-driven process with whoever may visit your school on a certain day than an education-driven process. And really, CBIZ was brought to the table to really make it a better plan. And that's really what Corebridge came to the table with. Some of the most competitive record-keeping fees out there. I can't say that they're the lowest, but they're darn near the lowest that I've seen. The number of education days, there's going to be specific people assigned to schools. Corebridge, there's different market segments. There's 401k, there's 403b, there's governmental. Corebridge is the largest provider in this public K through 12 marketplace. Again, we're independent, but we've had great experience working with a number of other Kansas, Missouri, and even all around the country type districts. And so ultimately, that's really the reason that Corebridge was selected. Now, they still have to do a good job. SMSD is not married to Corebridge for life. It's still part of CBIZ's job, the consultant, to make sure Corebridge is delivering on their service offering and that this plan is meeting the needs of the workforce at Shawnee Mission School District. If you want to flip the page, I think we hit on a number of factors, kind of what was examined through the RFP process. Mike, if you want to go to the next page, we did take a deep dive into the investments. Or into the fee structures. There's currently with some of these plans that are in place, there's all sorts of fees that are really going to be going away in the future. There's record keeping costs. There could be surrender penalties. There's revenue sharing. It's just an old-fashioned way of these plans. And moving forward, fees are going to be levelized. They're going to be transparent and disclosed to participants, which means there's more money going into the plan and less money being paid to salespeople or service providers. overall participation, this is a voluntary plan, but participation is somewhat low, and we're hoping by making it more of a SMSD plan than 4 different plans, we can really drive home the benefit of this plan that, hey, you might need to save more than what is offered to you through the CAPERS arrangement, and that's really part of our job and Corebridge's job going forward with the communication. If you want to go to the next page. So CBIZ is a fiduciary, which means we are legally obligated to give investment advice and due diligence in the best interest of our clients. As I said, the plan currently offers over 225 different investment choices. That's way too many. Most of the people that I see on a day-to-day basis say, hey, Jack, just tell me where to invest and how much to save. I'm no expert. The new plan has 17 different mutual fund options, which still offers you all of the choice you could possibly want. Actively managed funds, index funds, capital preservation funds, stock funds, bond funds, international. But it's a more manageable, and hey, there's a do-it-for-me option that's super low cost, that's managed with your target date of retirement in mind. That's a very hands-off way where you can focus more on how much I'm saving, am I on track, do I need help outside of the plan? So the new investment structure also is going to be so much more user-friendly. Corebridge offers great resources to participants. CBIZ can also provide investment advice. I talked about the 4 going down to 1. So there will be much more communication coming out about how this impacts everybody. There will be webinars, which Fred is going to talk about. There's different contracts that are available right now. So there are some individual contracts with security benefit that will stay there. So people that have savings at security benefit, you will remain there. If you're with Lincoln or MetLife or Corebridge, you will more than likely, your current account, your current savings will be mapped over to the Corebridge menu in a like fund allocation, which means if you're a bond fund and a stock fund over here, you'll move to a bond fund and a stock fund over here on the Corebridge menu. All new contributions will be going to Corebridge from here on out. And for participants that maybe have money staying behind at security benefit, or if you're in somewhat of a illiquid product, there are a few that may have to stay behind at Lincoln and MetLife. There are Corebridge educators that will help you make the determination. Is it in my best interest to leave my money where it is or to move it over to this low-cost, overseen new plan at Corebridge? Communication going out about that. The number one priority from the district from day one is that no participant is going to be negatively impacted by this change. Now, of course, change is hard and it's disruptive, but as far as investment offerings go and fee structures, no one is going to have a lesser benefit moving forward with Corebridge. So that was the number one priority of the district in moving through this process. I think just the next slide. This is the 3rd time I've talked to Michael and Russell today, so it has required some work through the process. There's payroll integrations. Census has to be uploaded. We have to look at the fund mapping schedule, and Fund A here goes to Fund B over here. Making sure that all the communication is easily understood, the dates and times that Corebridge will be available. So that's the process that we're going through. This change is upcoming. But if anybody has questions for the CBIZ side, personally, you can reach out to me. Michael and Russell have my contact information. But really from here on out, I'm going to hand it over to Fred with Corebridge. Super excited about this enhancement to the plan. As I said, it's really going to make this just more of an appealing and attractive benefit for everybody. So hey, if you were ever on the fence of should I contribute, should I not, I'm not sure where to go, it's much more of a user-friendly type plan, and Fred will talk about that here in a second. Any questions for me? Okay, thanks.
Well, good evening. The grand entrance, Corebridge Financial. So I appreciate y'all taking the time to come out here. I'll talk a little bit just on this slide, a little bit about plan modernization, just from my perspective. So just a little bit about myself. Again, Fred Brandenburg. I oversee our division for K-12 in the central region, so it covers several states. But I have really a view of, we're seeing across the country what we're calling 403B and 457 plan modernization. And really that's what this process is. We've seen this all over. It was happened quite a bit actually throughout the Midwest. I've done about 70 of these conversions over the last number of years, and we're seeing it accelerate. And it really, the Midwest has been one of the areas we've seen a lot of this. And so, I'm going to go through what those benefits are, and then talk a little bit about some of the communication and things we're going to be doing that are coming up, which are really, really key. And typically, what do we do when we start one of these presentations? We say, please put away your phones. I'm going to ask you to get your phones out here at the end, because we're going to have a QR code at the end where you can, if you want, go on there and schedule a time at one of our webinars if you want to register for that, which will have more specific information at that time. As you can see, when I go through this, there's a number of things that are going to be happening in March and then into April as we approach the go live date of the new plan. And it's going to provide educational opportunities, opportunities for you to meet one-on-one with an advisor and so forth. So we'll go ahead to the next slide and get you started. I was hoping to have a smaller font so you guys couldn't see this at all, but the people on on their computers can see this pretty easy. What are the benefits to going to a single provider? Well, there's a number of benefits you can see on here. I'll start with the employer, but I think obviously the more important is what does it do for the employee. So imagine we started this process, we started seeing this in around 2009, there were regulation changes in the 403B market. And so it required a lot more of the organizations that oversee these programs. And so there's been different solutions over time, but now that solution is this modernization and going to a single provider and doing all the things that CBIZ does to make sure that you have the oversight and everything you need. But simplified plan administration, imagine multi-vendors, very difficult to oversee. What are all the different people doing? Are people staying within plan rules, and you got to watch essentially 4 or 5 different plans? And we see districts with a lot more than that even. Very difficult on the employer to do that. Comprehensive communications. We talked about it earlier. The new process is going to be education-based versus before it was just a sales-based process. It was like, well, instead of being the Shawnee Mission School District plan, it was the Company A plan or Company B plan, telling you basically why their program was better than someone else's. Now there's going to be a more comprehensive education-based approach. That'll be the Shawnee Mission School District approach and plan. We work with the district to make sure that we're providing the information you need in a timely manner and in a way that's convenient for you. The other thing is the legacy assets. So as was mentioned, there'll be some accounts, that will not automatically transition over. They're going to be staying. No new money will go into those old accounts, but they're going to stay with those old legacy providers. We have to have a way to monitor that, and so we're going to have a program in place called Retirement Manager that basically oversees that to make sure. So if somebody needs to access their account for a hardship withdrawal, maybe a loan, maybe they've retired and want to transition it to some other provider or start taking withdrawals for their own income. There are rules we got to follow to do those things. And so this program, it's a website. You'll be able to go on the website, answer the questions, and it'll give you a certificate giving you permission or saying no, you're not eligible yet to access those funds until you meet a distributable event or something else. But it's a way of monitoring that. But we got to be able to see what's going on with all the other providers. So if you have an account, in a legacy account, we can actually have an information sharing agreement with them and see, okay, they have money here, they have money there, and here's what they're allowed to do. Here's what the plan says you can do. So these are things, again, school districts just aren't designed to do, and that's what this program puts in place. Again, overseeing, making sure we stay within compliance. So more importantly, employee benefits. Education-based, employee education is really the key. That's a big part of what I oversee. I'm going to go into a little more detail of that in a minute, but we're going to make sure. You go to anybody that works at a public school district and you ask them about their retirement, regardless of the state. What's the first thing they're going to talk about? Their pension. That's where they start. They ask if they're going to bring up their pension, and I think we can all attest, there's been a lot of changes to public employee pensions around the country, and not only here but everywhere. It's hard to keep up with. So we're going to be able to educate people on CAPERS and their pension and what that looks like, because these are designed to fill in the gaps left by your pension. No pension was ever designed to be the only source of income in retirement. And so we want to help people understand, here's what the benefit you'll get from CAPERS, Figure out what the retirement need is and see what that gap is and show them how to fill that gap utilizing these programs. And having the lower fees, which is that last part there, is a key part of that. If you reduce those fees, I mean, imagine, if somebody, here's what I always tell clients when I sit with them, I said, look, you get your statement at the end of the year, and it said, let's say your statement says at the end of the year you made a 6% return. But inside of a prospectus somewhere, under the old plan, you had a 2% expense ratio. Well, if you had a 6% return and there was a 2% expense ratio, if they hadn't charged you anything, you would have made 8%. A little bit came out of each day to equal 2% over the course of the year. What you see on your statement is net of fees. That's the after all the fees are taken out. So in my example, if you could take it from 2% to 1% with the stock market, all the markets, returning the same returns, instead of making 6% on your statement, you would have made 7%. Not because the market did better, simply because the fees were lower. And that's why that's so critically important. You compound that over many, many years, and it's a tremendous amount. It can be a big difference between, at the end of by the time you retire, between the lower fees versus the higher ones. And that's why this is so important. And they're going to hold our feet to the fire and make sure that on a regular basis that our fees stay competitive. And that's why this process was so important. Go to the next slide here. So education resources. So share a couple of things. So we have a lot of local advisors here in the Kansas City area, all fully licensed. Thing I want to also point out is our retirement plan consultants are all salaried. So the people are going to meet with you, and I'll show you their name, a little about them, how they're going to be assigned to specific locations. Those retirement plan consultants are salaried employees, are not commission-based. So that's something that, again, that's a modernization change. You didn't see that under the old model. Typically, they were going to be commission-based sales fee people. So you look on here, we're going to have access to our website and our app. We'll go through that in some of our webinars that are coming up. The Retirement Pathfinder. So when I was talking earlier about being able to see what is my capers going to be when I retire, what is Social Security going to look like, that's the Retirement Pathfinder. It's going to give us that information. This is a program that can either be done online on your own if somebody's a do-it-yourselfer, or if you want to sit with one of our advisors, we can help put one together for you. And it's really a roadmap to retirement. It'll actually show you if there is a gap between your income need and what capers and Social Security can provide. We can show you what that gap is and show you how to fill it utilizing the 403B or 457 plan. So it's a great way to do, to kind of get control. What I always love about this, I've been with this company 24 years, started as an advisor. That's the best part about the job, honestly, is when you sit down with people and you show them that and they can actually see, there is a way to get there. Most people, it's fear of the unknown is really what prevents them from saving for retirement. They just don't want to, it's just very stressful. This types of programs will really help bring clarity and empowerment to people around the district. Future Fit University is some additional online tools. I want to focus on the student loan forgiveness education that we have. So, we're going to, that's not something in a core of what we do, but we understand that people in public education, a lot of them have student loan debt. And that student loan debt can prevent a lot of people from saving for retirement in the way that they would like to. So there's student loan forgiveness programs that are out there for public school employees. We partner with a company called Savvy, it's S-A-V-I, that helps people understand. We don't do it ourselves, but we'll educate you on what programs are out there. You'll probably see some things that say, yeah, that I may qualify for that. Then you can partner with Savvy, and they'll help you walk through the process to take advantage of some of those student loan forgiveness programs. And hopefully when you do that, one, you'll be in better financial shape, which is obviously key, and two, it allows you to save more for retirement. We have programs that will do just that, and you can see some of the other ones out there. Lastly, you see the support from our advisors. Just wanted to point out that, if you find yourself in a situation when you need additional help above and beyond just enrolling or have basic questions, you have more complex issues, maybe you're approaching retirement, we will have, senior advisors available, including a CFP, a certified financial planner is available, and also a bilingual advisor. So again, we want to make sure we make this we want to meet you in the way you want to meet with us. So whether that's online, whether that's in person, by phone, whatever it may be, we're going to make sure we accommodate that. So Jonathan Wishnask and Callista Long, some of you may know them. They have we've been one of the providers here for some time, but they are the retirement plan consultants I mentioned earlier. They're the ones, and again, this is just part of the team. We got additional advisors, but the retirement plan consultants are going to be the ones you're going to see on the more regular basis in the school. So you see here, we have them assigned by the different schools. And why do we do that? One, what I'd like to see, and what we've seen it helps a lot, is people become very familiar with the person. Like anything else, we like people we're familiar with, and you get used to seeing Jonathan or Callista at your school. So we want to have continuity on an ongoing basis. So when you see somebody come by the school and work, people can, by word of mouth even say, yeah, you need to talk to Callista or Jonathan. This is how it worked when I was an advisor. I think that's how all people work. And they're really, really nice. Callista and Jonathan are fantastic, and I think you guys are going to love them because they're knowledgeable, easy to talk to on a subject matter that can be really stressful sometimes for people. I think you'll really, this will be well. And so this is how they're going to be assigned. We have already started the process of scheduling on-site visits. So the plan is to, in a couple of weeks, we're going to have a webinars, and I'll show you here in a second, that's going to lay out in more specific detail what's going to happen and what to expect. In that webinar, we're going to be able to educate you on a little bit of that. It'll allow you also to schedule a time with one of our advisors on that webinar to have a one-on-one session if you'd like. Then in April, we're going to, or actually starting around March 18th, I think, that's when the website will open up for allowing people to start enrolling in the new plan. So around that time, we're scheduling on-sites at various schools. We're working with your wellness program to schedule those on-sites. So maybe at your staff meetings and other types of on-site programs, and you'll have Jonathan and Callista, but I have additional advisors during this initial phase to help us out because, so if it's not them, maybe somebody will be available to make sure that we can cover all the places, all the locations within that month period from about March 18th to April 18th. So that's going to be another opportunity for you to meet one-on-one with someone. So what we're hoping is everyone will have an opportunity to meet virtually or in person. Again, whatever's most convenient for you. But those are some of the things that are coming up here really soon. And again, Jonathan and Callista will be key to that program. So now I'm sure everybody's excited to attend a webinar. Naturally, so this is how you do it. This is we're going to have on March 5th, 6th, and 7th. I'll be conducting these webinars. You see at 4 p.m. each day. Please get your phones out. If you take your phone and put it on the camera, just like when you go to a restaurant nowadays, you can click on that QR code and it'll pull up the 3 and just pick the one you want. You register on, pick whichever date is best for you and register on one of those dates. And those of you watching at home, you can do the same and get registered for that program. This is our warm system. So what's going to happen is you'll actually, when you fill that out, you'll put in your name and your information, also your email information. The system will send you a little, I'm sure by 2 weeks, I know is a long time in school world, any world. It'll send you a reminder a couple days before. You'll get an email from us saying, hey, remember this webinar about this guy that was talking to you? So that's what it's going to happen there. Okay. I did test it. It worked when I did it. Okay. That one worked. Maybe too far, or the connection could be bad. So please get on there and register. So what's going to happen is at that webinar, we'll go into a little more detail about some of the different scenarios. We'll go over, a big picture for those of you that don't know much about 403Bs. We'll talk a little bit about that. We'll also talk about the, if you're with, one of the legacy providers, what to expect, what's going to be coming, what to expect depending on how you're invested currently. And then at the end of that, you'll be able to schedule a time with either Callista or Jonathan. So we'll go over that again. So again, this is a great opportunity not only to get a better investment mix, much lower fees, hopefully a lot more clarity and understanding, but I'm hoping we get a lot more people that feel after we get through this process, I have a plan. I know I can make this happen. I know, saving for retirement is stressful. Thinking about long-term investing and things like that is very stressful. And what you're going to find with this education that we're not going to have now, but moving forward on an ongoing basis, the hope is that we have more and more people that really feel in control of their future and their finances. And that's really what we're here to provide. That's what we love doing. And I just want to thank you for the opportunity to be able to do this. And so with that, I guess we'll open it up for questions or, okay. Yep. Yeah, so the question is, yeah, if you already have you're already contributing to one of the providers, so if you don't do anything, the account will automatically be set up for you. If it's, when you'll see on the webinar, if it's one of the providers, there's, I think of the old assets, roughly 70% or so will transfer over automatically, or they're, in that ballpark. But the new account we set up, future contributions will all made. That'll happen to everyone that does, that just gets to the go live date, automatically set up and moved over. If you're with one of the providers, there are some that will map over, as was mentioned earlier. Those will even come over automatically. So if that happens, you can just wait for your account to be set up. That's fine. We'll have other opportunities to meet with us. The main thing I would do is you want to make sure, double check when that comes over, is double check like beneficiaries. I want to make sure that's up to date. It's also a good idea to, if you need help, getting set up so you have access online, things like that, and maybe just get the contact information for the local advisor would be the only other thing. But if you don't do anything, it's going to come over. It'll be set up automatically for you.
You mentioned that if your questions and needs are beyond the salaried people who are available to answer questions, you have access to the expertise of a CFP, Certified Financial Planner.
Yes.
Is that access free of charge, or is there a fee surrounding that?
Yeah, there's no additional charge for a CFP. So if somebody needs that, again, depending on the situation, if somebody wants specifically a CFP, we have that available. We also have other advisors that, again, senior advisors have been in the business a long time, may not have the CFP designation, but either way, no additional charge for any of those services.
Yeah. So are all of those people fiduciaries that? Because I know sometimes like there'll be like people like you mentioned saying commission or salary, but is everybody a fiduciary when it comes to like the CFPs and the advisors?
Yeah, technically when you look at those, so it depends on the situation. So it's not as cut and dry as every single time. We always work in the best interest, under the best interest rule. Yeah, if you want to take that, that may be a CBIZ.
There's a couple things that I was going to bring up that I forgot, but two of them have been hit on already. So one of the things we did when we evaluated the record keepers, there were a lot of proprietary funds within there. On Corebridge, you had Corebridge funds. On security benefit, you had security benefit funds. The new investment menu is fully open architecture, which means there are no proprietary fund requirements. CBIZ can pick and choose the best of the best funds within each class. So there's no possible way for Corebridge to get additional compensation because there really aren't any Corebridge funds in the plan. There's a fixed account available through Corebridge, but all of the mutual fund options, there's Vanguard, there's American funds, there's really no, we kind of removed all the potential conflicts of interest as a part of that. Hopefully that answered that question.
He's Mr. Fiduciary.
Let me get you a mic, ma'am.
So my understanding was security benefit, whatever you have in there has to stay in there?
It doesn't have to, but it won't come over automatically. So
Will there be penalties if you pull it out?
That's why, yeah, if you're in a situation where you have, it's not going to come over automatically, highly recommend to sit down with an advisor. Let's call the other carrier and determine whether or not there are surrender charges for that. The new program, there are no load mutual funds. There's no fee going in, no fee going out. Under some of the old plans, there are fees to move them over. And so we need to call them. We can sit down with you and call them with you because we know what questions to ask, that sort of thing. Because there's a couple things you want to look at. One, if there are fees, they will expire. There is usually a fee, like a surrender schedule. So we can determine, okay, maybe I don't want to move it today, but I want to move it in like 2 years after the fees expire. We can put together something like that. So we just had to determine situation by situation whether or not it's in your best interest. But yes, highly recommend if you're in that situation just to sit down with one of our advisors because it just makes the process smoother. And if you are able to move those assets now, we'll do all the paperwork and walk you through the process and get it taken care of for you.
And Fred, with security benefit though, you could show that those assets in the retirement management retirement manager, and so you could keep track of that even though you don't move them out of that
Correct.
legacy account.
Yes, yeah, you can leave the money in those accounts. Like, nobody has to move any of those. On those certain accounts that don't move over automatically, you can just leave them there. But I think it is worth everybody should at least look into, or help you look into, what are the fees you're paying now versus what are the fees in the new plan, and whether or not there's any surrender charges on those accounts. Yes, I would strongly recommend that.
I think Michael was saying that those outside accounts will link to the Corebridge website, correct? So if I...
Oh, yeah, if you go into Retirement Manager, yes. So if you go into Retirement Manager, yes, you will be able to see that. I misunderstood. Yeah, yes, it will. You will be able. So as an example, if you have you have the new Corebridge account, and then the new plan, you still have assets in the legacy account, you go to the Retirement Manager site that I discussed earlier, you'll actually be able to see the assets in the old account too, because we have a information sharing arrangement.
And that's an easy way to have like a side-by-side comparison of the investment offerings as well as the fee structures
Yeah.
for that determination.
Yeah.
Sorry, I came in a little bit late,
No, you're
so
good.
I may have missed this, but, so going with the fees, are the fees that Corebridge charges, is that posted on this, is it an app that you were talking about? Like,
Yes, you'll see that, and you'll see it actually on your statement. The actual dollars and cents, what the fee is, but the fee will be on there. You also see when you get like the lineup of the mutual funds, you can see all the different returns and historical performance of those mutual funds. You'll be able to see the expense ratio on each one of those funds on the far right column when you get that. Again, one of the big benefits is that transparency. You know, under the current model, most people are having to go and dig into a prospectus somewhere, which I guess almost no one does. And this will be you'll see it. You'll see all the returns, all the funds, and on the far right side, you'll see the expense ratio, and then and any administrative fees.
and you may have talked about this earlier, but when we're in that, we can, is there a way for us to manage our funds ourselves as far as switching it in between different stocks and that kind of thing?
Well, yeah, within the fund lineup that'll be available, you can make changes between the allocations all on the website or the app. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah, any other questions in the room? Clayton, is there anything online? Okay. Okay, there is, Russell, I'm sorry, I'm putting you on the spot. So our CFO's in the room, our benefits team's in the room. If there's any questions that are specific to them. Okay. All right, tons of education coming from Corebridge. CBiz will remain an asset to us. Of course, your benefits team, Russell and myself are here. We're really excited about it. It's something that the benefits committee entertained for a number of years. And then through education, we determined that it was a proper course of action. And with a lot of due diligence, we believe we have the best partner that we can. And we're really excited about what this is going to do for our employees moving forward. So thanks to those of you that attended in person. Thanks to those online. And I think we'll close the meeting. Thanks.